informative speech. Okay, well, tens of thousands of children and families from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador have fled violence in their countries and have come to the United States. Recently in the media, there have been many stories of immigration situations such as families getting deported and the constant effort to pass an immigration reform. As a Mexican American, my mother, father, and two of my sisters were born in Mexico in the city of Jalisco and came to the U.S. in the 1980s. Learning about immigration will help us better understand more about the foreign population and the future of those with the pursuit of legal citizenship in this country. First, I will share with you guys some background information on the laws of immigration. Second, some statistical information on the immigration population. And finally, what the immigration reform is and what the future potentially holds. So first, what is an immigrant and the laws? Well, in order to be more cognizant of what immigration is, we must first explore the early history of the immigration law, and second, what an immigration is and why they wholeheartedly strive to come into the U.S. Okay, Congress's first attempt to set immigration policy came in 1790. According to the Naturalization Act of 1790, published on March 26, 1790 by the U.S. Congress, free white persons of good moral character are restricted the right to be naturalized. Second, according to Section 1 of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, adopted on July 9, 1868, all children born within the United States receive citizenship at birth. Naturalization laws brought in in 1870, which allowed African Americans the right to become naturalized citizens. Then Asian Americans did not receive this right for many years. Xenophobia from Asians between 1850 and 1882 caused Congress to pass the Chinese Exclusion Act, which restricted further Chinese immigration. In 1921, Congress passed the Emergency Immigration Act, which limited the immigration of aliens into the United States. Later on, the Immigration Act of 1924 created a permanent quota system which further restricted immigration of Southern and Eastern Europeans, Africans, Arabs, East Asians, and Indians. Now the annual number of immigrants who could be admitted from any country was constricted to 2%. So what is an immigrant? An immigrant is a person who leaves one country to settle permanently into another. In 1992, most legal immigrants came from Latin America and Europe. Now they're more likely to come from Asia, Africa, and Mexico. According to cbp.gov, in 2014, the Customs and Border Protection saw an overall increase in apprehension of unaccompanied children from Central America at the southwest border, specifically in the Rio Grande Valley. Thousands of these young children, along with other separate families, flee from their country to escape abuse and the increase in tragic violence and drug wars in Central America. In the U.S., they look for a better and more prosperous life. Staying in the country is no longer an option for them due to their struggle with poverty and calamity. Now that we have discussed the history of early immigration law, what an immigrant is, and why they wholeheartedly emigrate to the U.S., let's move on to our second point, immigration population, and some ways as to how citizenship is obtained. In order to further understand the topic of immigration, we must discuss some facts and statistics of the immigration population and then move on to the ways in obtaining U.S. citizenship. According to an article published by the Center for American Progress team on October 23, 2014, the foreign-born population consisted of 40.7 million people in 2012. 18.6 million were naturalized U.S. citizens, and 22.1 million were non-citizens. The past decade saw a significant increase in the foreign-born population. Between 2000 and 2012, there was a 31.2% increase in the foreign-born population, which made the population grow from 31.1 million to 40.8 million people. By 2012, immigrants made up 13% of the total U.S. population. Lastly, in 2012, there were 11.6 million foreign-born residents. 28% were from Mexico, 2.3 million from China, 2 million from India, 1.9 million from the Philippines, 1.3 from both Vietnam and El Salvador, and 1.1 million from Cuba and Korea. Now this shows us the substantial amount of people which have emigrated and settled in the US over the years. Now that we have a better understanding of the immigration population, and now that we can turn words into numbers, let's move on to the ways of gaining citizenship. According to the US Citizenship and Immigration Services website, some ways of obtaining citizenship are through naturalization, appearance, and the naturalization test. To apply for naturalization, Form N-400 application for naturalization must be filed. Naturalization can also be obtained through US citizen parents, one at birth and one after birth, or one after birth, but before the age of 18. Furthermore, to become a naturalized US citizen, the naturalization test must be passed. In the process, there is also a naturalization interview where there will be questions about the application and also the person's background. But lastly, there's also an English and civics test, unless the person is qualified for an exemption or a waiver. So after reviewing early immigration law and the immigration population and citizenship, let us now learn about the immigration reform and the potential future of it. While there is many controversy towards the topic of immigration, there is also an immigration reform that has been in the strenuous process effort of being signed by President Obama. First, what is an immigration reform? An immigration reform is a term used in political discussion regarding changes to a current immigration policy of a country. This can include promoted, expanded, or more open immigration, as well as, on the contrary, reduced or eliminated immigration. But the current immigration reform that is currently going on right now is prompted towards more open immigration. This immigration reform has gone through great efforts of being signed amongst controversy between Congress and the Republican Party. What's in it for the future? According to whitehouse.gov, President Obama is taking action on immigration. According to him, America's immigration is broken and he is taking executive action to fix what he can to build a system that lives up to our heritage as a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. President Obama's plan includes cracking down on illegal immigration at the border, deporting felons and not families, increasing accountability so more than 4 million undocumented immigrants have the opportunity to play by the rules, and streamlining legal immigration to boost our economy and promote naturalization. According to an LA Times article published on January 16, 2015 by Lisa Muscaro, Republicans are ready to try again on the immigration reform. Republican Jeff Denham acknowledged that they have not handled the issue well. Although Republicans will continue to try to stop President Obama's executive actions, Republicans also want to press forward their own ideas for immigration. Lastly, Republican Jeff Denham said, "It will be important before the 2016 election to actually show that we can accomplish something on immigration, and I'm looking forward to getting that done this year." Now that we know more about immigration, its history, population, and its future, let's wrap things up. It is important to learn more about immigration in order to better understand the laws and the future of this topic of controversy in the U.S. First of all, I discussed the history of immigration law. Secondly, the immigration population and citizenship. And finally, discussed about the immigration reform and executive action towards immigration. Some of us have immigrant families, whether in the U.S. or in different countries, but nevertheless of how far they might be, we love them despite the miles in between. Next time you see an immigration issue pop up on television, radio, etc., you will have a better idea of immigration and our role as members of the U.S. population. We are not politicians, but we don't need to be in order to learn and be concerned about this recurring topic in the United States. So,
Right.